Have you ever watched a movie and thought, that villain is so good at being bad, it's almost scary? Well, today we're rediving into the story of an actor who did just play the bad guy on screen. His real life was a script even Hollywood would undare to write. Get ready, because we're about to uncover the secret life of Hollywood's most notorious villain. For decades, let's call him Victor Stone, dominated the silver screen as the ultimate antagonist. With his piercing gaze and a voice that could curdle milk, he was a go-to actor for any role that required pure, unadulterated menace. He played crime bosses, rogue spies, and heartless tycoons. Audiences loved to hate him, and critics praised his uncanny ability to embody evil. He won awards, graced magazine covers, and lived in a sprawling mansion in the Hollywood Hills. To the public, he was the master of make-believe, but behind the gates of his estate, a much darker reality was unfolding. Victor's on-screen persona was carefully crafted, but his off-screen cruelty was all too real. Those who worked with him on set whispered stories of his explosive temper and his unnerving ability to manipulate everyone around him. Co-stars would describe feeling genuinely intimidated, not by his character, but by the man himself. He had a reputation for being difficult, but the industry often chalks that up to artistic temperament. In Victor's case, it was a smokescreen for something far more sinister. He isolated himself, creating an impenetrable fortress of fame and fortune where his actions went unchecked. His early life offered few clues to the man he would become. Born into a modest family, he was a quiet, unassuming child. It was only when he discovered acting in high school that a new side of him emerged. He was a natural, able to tap into deep, dark emotions with an ease that both impressed and unsettled his teachers. This talent became his ticket out of a life he saw as mundane. He moved to Hollywood with stars in his eyes, but it seems a shadow followed him there. He quickly learned that in the city of dreams, power was the ultimate currency, and he was determined to acquire as much of it as possible by any means necessary. The first public cracks in his perfect villain facade began to appear in the tabloids. Rumors of lavish out-of-control parties and turbulent relationships started to circulate. But with a team of high-powered lawyers and publicists, Victor was a master at spinning the narrative. Every negative story was dismissed as a fabrication, the price of fame. He would appear on talk shows, charming the audience with self-deprecating humor and stories about his beloved rescue dogs, painting a picture of a gentle soul who just happened to be brilliant at playing monsters. The public bought it. After all, who would want to believe that their favorite villain was a real-life one? Behind the scenes, the situation was escalating. His staff lived in constant fear. Tales from former employees who would only speak on the condition of anonymity paint a chilling picture. They described a man ruled by paranoia and a need for absolute control. He would install secret cameras to monitor his own home, fly into rages over the smallest perceived slight, and use his immense wealth and influence to threaten anyone who dared to cross him. He was a master puppeteer, and everyone in his orbit was a pawn in his game. His mansion wasn't a home. It was a gilded cage, both for him and for anyone unlucky enough to be inside it with him. The turning point came when a brave young journalist decided to dig deeper. She had heard the whispers, the rumors that had been circulating for years, and refused to believe they were just smoke without fire. She spent months tracking down former associates, ex-partners, and disgruntled studio hands. Most were too afraid to talk, terrified of Victor's reach and his capacity for revenge. But a few, driven by a need for the truth to come out, began to share their stories. A pattern of manipulation, intimidation, and emotional abuse began to emerge. A pattern that was far more terrifying than any of his on-screen performances. The expose that followed was explosive. It detailed a history of deceit and cruelty that stood in stark contrast to his public image. The article included corroborated accounts of Victor using his power to ruin careers, isolate loved ones, and create an environment of fear. For the first time, the whispers were given a voice, and the evidence was undeniable. The carefully constructed wall around Victor Stone began to crumble. The studio contracts were paused. The award nominations were rescinded. The talk show invitations stopped coming. Hollywood, a town known for protecting its own, could no longer ignore the monster it had helped create. In the aftermath, Victor Stone vanished from the public eye. His sprawling mansion went up for sale, and he retreated into an even deeper isolation. The man who had commanded the attention of millions was now a ghost. Haunted by the secrets he could no longer keep buried. His story serves as a chilling reminder that the greatest villains are always the ones we see on screen. Sometimes they are the ones hiding in plain sight, their darkness concealed by the bright lights of fame. It is a cautionary tale about the nature of power and the difference between playing a monster and actually becoming one. The scariest characters aren't confined to fiction. They walk among us, and their real-life stories are often the most terrifying of all. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into one of Hollywood's darkest secrets. It's a powerful reminder to look beyond the surface. If you found this story as compelling as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more untold stories. Let me know in the comments which Hollywood mysteries you'd like me to uncover next. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.